There are 17 people in the world of One Piece who demonstrate the ability to use the Haki of the King. These 17 people are privileged as they were born with the characteristics of a king. But who are these 17 people? When did they discover that they could awaken the Haki of the King? And how far can their powers go? Stay tuned, because in this video, I'll show you all the users of Haki of the King in One Piece. Silver's Rayleigh. Rayleigh was one of Roger's most trusted allies, and one of the most powerful fighters in the world during his prime. Even years after that period, Rayleigh can still wield the Haki of the Conqueror at a truly impressive level. We first witnessed this during the Sabaody Archipelago incident, when he easily incapacitated the auction house owner. Later, he left an entire room full of enemies unconscious. What is intriguing is that Rayleigh seems to choose specific targets for his Haki attacks rather than affecting everyone around him. Until now, he has been the character who has shown the most knowledge about this technique, but it's interesting to highlight this aspect of him always targeting specific individuals. This raises the question, is it possible that he cannot use his Haki to impact multiple people at once? Well, during the auction at Sabaody Archipelago, it would have been a perfect moment for him to attack multiple people simultaneously. He successfully trained Luffy, transforming a complete beginner into a skilled Haki user in just 2 years. Oda once confirmed that Rayleigh's Haki of the Conqueror was at least twice as powerful as Luffy's during the Fishman Island arc. Based on Oda's statement, it's reasonable to say that Rayleigh could indeed affect more than one person, since, on Fishman Island, Luffy knocked out no less than 50,000 fishmen. In other words, if Rayleigh had been there, he could have defeated the 100,000 new Fishman pirates if he had chosen to do so. Based on this, Rayleigh's Haki of the Conqueror is positioned at the highest level. As for when he learned to use this technique, we have no idea. But considering that Rayleigh is the equivalent of Zoro, we can assume that he must have awakened the Haki of the King after many adventures alongside Roger. Ace demonstrated his ability to use the Haki of the King only once. The only time we saw this was in his flashback when he was still a child. On that occasion, the Blue Gem Pirates were about to kill Luffy and Ace. They were acting under the orders of Sabo's father, who took the boy home and ordered the pirates to kill his 2 foster brothers. But before Luffy was killed, Ace awakened this ability and knocked out the pirates who were about to kill his brother. Other than that, we never saw Ace using Haki again, but on the other hand, Shanks himself said that Ace's Haki is naturally intense, to the point where his presence could stop a snowstorm on its own. Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock, the pirate empress, leads the Kuja pirates and was the only female Shichibukai before the group was dissolved. We learned that she can use this ability during the clash between Luffy and the Kuja pirates on Amazon Lily. At that moment, Luffy used his Haki of the King against all of them, and Hancock's sisters, Sandersonia and Marigold, were shocked and stated that Luffy was demonstrating the same type of Haki as Hancock. It's unfortunate that, so far, it's only been mentioned that she can use this ability, as we have yet to see how far her power with Haki can go. Although we haven't seen Hancock use it in the manga, she demonstrates this power in certain non-canonical One Piece games, such as Burning Blood and Pirate Warriors 4. For now, even without canonical evidence, Hancock is placed in a provisional category. As for the first time she used this ability, we can assume it was when she escaped from the hands of the Tenryubito. At that time, she and her sisters were kept as slaves by the nobles, but the legendary Fisher Tiger saved them along with all the other slaves. Since that was a chaotic situation, it's likely that she awakened this power at a moment when all the slaves were about to be recaptured. Amidst the chaos, she may have awakened her Haki and knocked out several government soldiers. Just imagine what an incredible scene that would be. Don Quixote do Flamingo. Don Quixote do Flamingo, the demon, was one of the most powerful Shichibukai. He is a former world noble and ruler of Dressrosa. Doflamingo awakened his Haki of the Conqueror around the age of 10, using it to incapacitate citizens of North Blue who sought revenge against his family. His mastery of this Haki only grew over time. He demonstrated this proficiency by incapacitating most of the G5 Marines at Punk Hazard and briefly used it in his battle against Luffy. On the occasion when he used Haki against Luffy, Doflamingo was about to kill Law with a stomp, but Luffy intervened and the two began to clash their Haki of the King simultaneously. In fact, this was the first time we saw a Haki collision between two people. Although information regarding Doflamingo's capabilities in this area is limited, it's clear that he is highly skilled in using the Haki of the Conqueror. Monkey D. Luffy, like his mentor Silver's Rayleigh, Luffy quickly mastered all three forms of Haki. Rayleigh even commented on Luffy's remarkable talent for Haki, as he reached proficiency in the basics of all three types in just a year and a half. Before the time skip, Luffy unconsciously demonstrated the Haki of the Conqueror on several occasions. For example, he unconsciously incapacitated several Kuja warriors, defeated attacking wolves in Impel Down, and left several elite marines unconscious at Marineford. But none of these occasions was the first time he used the Haki of the King. He used this ability for the first time against Duval's Bull, right at the beginning of the Sabaody arc. When Luffy used this power, we didn't even imagine that such an ability existed in the world of One Piece. During the following 2 years, Rayleigh further refined Luffy's control over the Haki of the Conqueror. Like Rayleigh, Luffy can now target specific individuals without affecting those around him. We witnessed the full extent of his new power on Fishman Island, where he instantly incapacitated 50,000 new Fishman pirates. Later, during the attack on Onigashima, Luffy discovered a new application of the Haki of the Conqueror. By infusing it into his arms and legs along with his advanced armament Haki, he significantly increased his attack power. This allowed him to deliver devastating blows against Kaido. However, due to the recent revelation of this technique, his control is still somewhat raw and unrefined. In his third fight against Kaido, Luffy's Haki of the Conqueror made the clouds dissipate. Another great feat of his advanced Haki of the King was when he defeated Kaido. He raised a massive fist and coated it with advanced Haki of the King. The fist became the size of the island of Onigashima, which only proves the magnitude of the Straw Hat's power. The best part is that, more and more, his physical strength and mastery of the Haki of the King are increasing. In other words, Luffy is becoming stronger and stronger at a level completely off the charts. Don Chinjao, also known as Chinjao the Drill. He was a renowned pirate with a strong lineage. He was also the leader of the Happo Navy and the 12th retired leader of the Chinjao family. In his prime, he rivaled both Garp and Roger, boasting a bounty of 542 million berries. But his greatest rival was Garp. The Vice Admiral simply loved dueling with Chinjao to see who was stronger, the pirate's head or Garp's fist. During one of his confrontations with Vice Admiral Garp, he was struck with such force that his head was flattened, significantly reducing his strength. This left him extremely sad, because without his sharp head, he could no longer hit as hard, which eventually led him to retire from piracy. After retiring as a pirate, Chinjao displayed his Haki of the Conqueror during the Dressrosa arc. He knocked out several participants in Block C without making physical contact, an impressive feat considering the caliber of the fighters in the Corrida Coliseum. As for the first time he used Haki, it may have been in a battle against Roger. Since he liked to fight against the former Pirate King, we can presume they had such an intense clash that Chinjao might have awakened this power for the first time. Whitebeard. Edward Newgate, the indomitable Whitebeard, was among the most powerful pirates in history. His strength was unmatched, evidenced by his bounty of 5,046 million berries, the second highest in all of history. It's a shame that during the Battle of Marineford, we didn't get to see him using the Haki of the King in detail, perhaps due to the fact that he was already old and unable to use his most powerful abilities. However, flashbacks show his incredible power. During a confrontation with Goldie Roger, their Haki of the Conqueror generated a shockwave so immense that it reconfigured the environment. He could also infuse his weapon, Murakumogiri, with Haki of the Conqueror, further enhancing his combat abilities. What's interesting is that in this clash with Roger, their weapons didn't even touch. They only used the clash of their Hakis to attack. Now imagine the potential of Whitebeard's blows when he infused his Haki of the King into his fist, combined with the tremor from his Gura Gura no Mi. It's certainly one of the most powerful abilities in the series. It's a pity we didn't get to see it in action. Sengoku. The esteemed former fleet admiral is the only non-pirate user of the Haki of the Conqueror on this list. As a Marine, Sengoku possesses the Haki of the Conqueror, although he rarely uses it due to his role. As Fleet Admiral, Sengoku generally stayed at Marine HQ, and even now, after retiring from the position, he remains behind the scenes, not even fighting. For this reason, we haven't had the opportunity to see him using the Haki of the King, as he spends most of his time at HQ just signing papers. However, in his glory days, Sengoku was one of the few rivals Roger had in his time. In one particular statement, Roger said that if the Marines truly wanted to capture him, they would have to send Garp or Sengoku. This statement from Roger makes it clear that the Admiral is extremely powerful, leading us to consider the possibility that Sengoku's Haki of the King is highly effective. Therefore, even though it hasn't been seen in action, his reputation and accomplishments justify a high level of proficiency in the Haki of the Conqueror. Big Mom, the former Yonkou, is among the most powerful characters in the manga. She mastered all three forms of Haki, including the Haki of the Conqueror. She demonstrated her mastery by incapacitating individuals who questioned her at Sanji's wedding and later in a moment of distress when she obliterated the guests at her party. Big Mom can also infuse the Haki of the Conqueror into her attacks, exponentially increasing her offensive capabilities, as demonstrated in her confrontation with Kaido. Another demonstration of her immense power with the Haki of the King was in the battle against the Supernovas, where she, along with Kaido, delivered several blows infused with the Haki of the King. She also used this ability when she fought Page 1, one of Kaido's Tobiroppo. On that occasion, she delivered a punch coated with the Haki of the King, so powerful that he was immediately knocked out. She likely learned to use this power during her rise, as shortly after the death of Mother Carmel, Big Mom gave herself over to a world of infinite destruction, and it may have been during one of these moments that she awakened this power. Charlotte Katakuri. As the strongest commander among the Sweet Generals, Katakuri is a master of all three forms of Haki. He demonstrated the Haki of the Conqueror by using it against Luffy in their epic battle. At most, we saw him using this power to deliver Haki clashes and collisions with the Straw Hat himself. The reason he doesn't use it frequently is that he is much more skilled in the other types of Haki, which makes his Haki of the King a technique useful only in moments of collision. He likely awakened this ability for the first time while protecting his siblings. Katakuri has always been a protective brother, so in a dangerous situation for his siblings, he may have reached the point of awakening such power. Kozuki Oden. Despite having a brief career as a pirate, Kozuki Oden demonstrated exceptional proficiency in the Haki of the Conqueror. He faced both Whitebeard and Kaido, generating shockwaves and lightning-like effects. His mastery is evident even when facing opponents he couldn't overcome. For this reason, it's hard to imagine just how strong his Haki was because, in addition to using it on very few occasions, he only used it against pirates stronger than him. As for when he awakened this ability, it was likely during one of his adventures in the land of Wano. Since Wano didn't offer entertainment on his level, Oden spent his days searching for powerful enemies, and at some point he must have encountered a challenge worthy of his strength. Kid Eustace Kaido himself stated that Kid is capable of using this power, but the problem is that we never actually saw this happen. The ideal moment to show this ability would have been against Big Mom or Shanks, but he simply decided to keep it hidden from everyone. Or maybe he doesn't know exactly how to use it. As for when he awakened this ability, it likely happened in his past when he was just a kid from South Blue. For those who don't know, Oda revealed Kid's past in an SBS, and I can tell you that the story is quite sad. It could have been in one of those moments of intense emotion that he first gained this ability. Yamato, the only princess and daughter of Kaido, naturally possesses exceptional mastery of the Haki of the Conqueror. This power awakened when Yamato was a child, especially when she fought against her father in the pursuit of bringing freedom to Wano. Yamato could imbue her weapon, Takeru, with the Haki of the Conqueror emitting a black lightning. Although she has shown very little regarding her abilities with the Haki of the King, we can assume that she is one of the best, as she is one of the few characters capable of infusing Haki into a weapon. Kaido, the fearsome King of Beasts and former Yonkou, commands immense power and mastery of the Haki of the Conqueror. His conflicts, such as the one against Big Mom, generated shockwaves that reconfigured the environment. Kaido infuses the Haki of the Conqueror into his attacks, causing devastating effects. His physical strength, combined with the Haki of the Conqueror, allows him to quickly incapacitate formidable opponents. This is the most perfect combination that exists. Besides being a monster with a club and possessing an unparalleled level of physical strength, he infuses his Haki of the King into his strikes, making him almost invincible. Anyone who takes a hit from this guy, especially in his hybrid form, will surely meet the other side of the world immediately. I suppose he awakened the Haki of the King during his days as one of the Rock's pirates. At that time, he was just a 15-year-old, and as Sengoku mentioned, the members of the Rock's crew would kill each other aboard the ship. So being so young, he was likely heavily targeted within the crew, which is how he eventually learned to use the Haki of the King. Goldie Roger, the legendary pirate king, holds the highest bounty in history, achieved both by his incredible will to explore the world and his remarkable mastery of the Haki of the Conqueror. We saw a glimpse of his power in a confrontation with Whitebeard, where he displayed his strength, generating a devastating shockwave of Haki that even split the skies. Roger could also infuse his sword, Ace, with the Haki of the Conqueror, effortlessly launching opponents like Odin. We saw him do this only on that occasion against Odin using a technique he himself called Kamusari. We can assume that he is the best user of the Haki of the King to date, as he conquered the world solely through the power of Haki. Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter, initially possessed the Haki of the Conqueror unconsciously. He used this power for the first time without realizing it, against Kaido's pirates, and he didn't even consider the possibility of using such power. This latent potential was confirmed by Kaido after Zoro's attack when, by using an Ashura infused with Haki, Zoro managed to cut the beast. In his battle against King, Zoro unleashed his full potential, using the Haki of the Conqueror to knock out several enemies. He learned to infuse his 3 swords with this Haki, emitting black lightning. Although he awakened this technique recently, he has already demonstrated an incredible ability to use advanced Haki of the King, as, unlike most on this list, Zoro is one of the few who has managed to infuse his Haki of the King into his strikes. Shanks demonstrated the greatest feat of the Haki of the King in the series, where even from miles away he was able to subdue Admiral Green Bull with the massive power of his Haki of the King. Additionally, there have been other occasions where he displayed a bit of his incredible power. For example, when he arrived on Whitebeard's ship, he simply knocked out everyone who didn't have the willpower to stand by his side. He not only incapacitated Newgate's men, but also destroyed some debris on Whitebeard's ship. Seriously, is there anyone more terrifying than him? As for his advanced Haki of the King, it needs no further explanation. When Kid and Killer attacked his territory, Shanks easily defeated them using Kamusari, a technique where he infuses his sword with the Haki of the King. It's likely that he awakened his Haki of the King when he was still a member of Roger's crew, because from an early age, Roger always had a great attachment to the red-haired Shanks. That's why I believe that at some point, Roger realized that Shanks had the potential to use this ability and thus made him his favorite. Besides the characters I mentioned, who do you think will awaken the Haki of the King next? Will Sanji, Dragon, Garp, and others demonstrate this ability at some point in the story? Comment below. Activate your Haki of the King here on the channel by subscribing and turning on notifications. Here, you are the king. So go ahead and send in suggestions for more topics. On the screen, you can see a video about the zodiac signs of One Piece characters. Discover which character shares the same sign as you.